Hello, happy Halloween, everyone. It's a special Halloween edition of So What. I don't think we've ever had a So What on Halloween yet, so this is pretty exciting. I hope that you're all getting into the spirit. Perhaps you're even wearing a costume already. Let me know in the comments if you plan on dressing up, and if so, who will you be this evening or today or what have you? So it's pretty obvious what my costume is. I even have little butterflies on my eyelashes. Super fun. So I want to hear about all of your creative costume ideas. You have been seeing me demonstrating a few quick and easy Halloween costumes, as well as some that are a little bit more complicated. Remember the octopus of a couple weeks ago. So let me know what you plan on being today, or if you have little ones that are going out and you've made something for them for Halloween today, let us know in the comments. Betsy says, handmade belly dancer costume. Love it. Clovis has on a Halloween shirt. All right. We're getting into the swing of things. I know it's a little early, but I love Halloween. So, we've got Halloween parades at school today and all kinds of activities happening. So, getting ready a little early is just how we have to roll over here, where I am at least. I've got my bat table runner up, my witches in hanger. So if you grabbed one of these witches in or witch is out, depending on how you're displaying it, if you grabbed up one of these palettes, don't forget to put that one out today on your door or what have you. All right. Sharon's got candy corn socks. Love it. Very cute. Okay, so I know we're celebrating Halloween today, and we've still got quite a bit of time before we get to holiday decorating. But with everything, as sewers, quilters, crafters, creators, whatever we want to call ourselves, we need some time to create some new holiday decor, right? We can't start a couple days before Christmas because we're going to be busy with our sewing machines making those last minute gifts. So today I'm going to jump forward a little bit with a great project that you can create for the holidays. They make great gifts, or you can create a set for your own home. I am talking about our brand new In the Hoop Christmas coasters. So I'm going to show you how these come together, and you can grab up our machine embroidery palette, which comes with all 6 designs in 2 sizes. So you can make sort of a larger mug rug size or a smaller coaster size. And then I'm going to give you some tips for what else you can do with these designs as well. So this comes with purchase of a machine embroidery palette, which again includes 2 sizes of these designs, as well as 10 spools of sulky rayon thread in all the great colors that you see in all these designs. Some of the colors are repeated because, like, for example, as you can see, the little blue houses, you're going to need more thread for those to create those. So I'm going to show you all about how this project comes together today. Even though we're celebrating Halloween together, we can get into the holiday spirit as well. All right, lots of people tuning in now. Barb says she's got a skull sweater on. Love it. Halloween socks. Let's see. Doris says, how big are the butterflies on your eyelashes? All right, so I'm going to get really close. They are very small, but they're gold. See them? Love it. All right. And we'll see how long I can keep these on my eyes. Because, I'm not used to the fake eyelashes. But for Halloween, I'm willing to buck up and, get in the swing of things, get in the spirit of it all. All right, before we get to today's tutorial, I want to make sure everybody is signed up, registered, ready to go for our Christmas gift tags free webcast. This is also a project that's done in the hoop of your embroidery machine. And these also come in 2 sizes as well. So during the webcast, which is November, I'm blanking. What's the date? November 7th? Let's just double check, everybody. November, sometimes, I've only been planning this for about 6 months, so you think I would know. Yes, it's November 7th, week from today. We will be going live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to show you how these gift tags come together in the hoop of your embroidery machine. And then I'm also going to show you a really fun cross-stitch version of these gift tags that we're going to make on a cross-stitch wooden blank. These make great ornaments, great gifts. You don't have to use them as gift tags. And even the cross-stitch ones, since they are a little bit smaller than our largest gift tag size, you can really get done with these in, it won't take you as long as a large scale cross-stitch I can't speak. Project. Sometimes people think that cross stitch is kind of daunting, right? Because we're using the Aida cloth. We have to count over here, count down. We lose count, all of this. However, when you're using the wooden cross stitch blank, where did mine go? I had it right here to show you all. When you're using the cross stitch blank, it's so much easier to count because it's such a small scale item. I've completely lost where I put it, everybody. I apologize. Oh, here we go. Everything is a mess because it's Halloween and, I was scrambling to get ready for you all today. Let's be real. So here is what one of the wooden cross-stitch blanks looks like. So you can see it is quite a bit smaller than the large gift tag size, right? So we've scaled down our beautiful designs and made them work for cross stitch. So you can create these using Sulky 12 weight cotton petites thread, and they're 14 count, which means there's 14 holes per square inch on this little guy. So it's much easier to manage. You can create your beautiful designs by hand, watching a Christmas movie or what have you. And these make just the greatest gifts. They're about the size of our small size gift tag. See, a little bit different. So you're going to be learning a lot during our free webcast. Please register. Just for registering, you will get a free embroidery design. It's our Noel embroidery design that you can use on some great holiday towel blanks. I have one right here that design would look so great on. We have these at sulky.com. It's like a Christmas plaid. Love this. You can grab this up, put your embroidery designs on here, wrap it up with a couple of cute little holiday spatulas, tie it with a bow. Makes a great hostess gift if you're going to a party for the holidays, or you can just gift it to a friend or a teacher. Those are really nice, thoughtful gifts that you can personalize with your embroidery machine. Okay, so have I talked enough about our webcast next week? Let me know in the comments if you're already joining or give me those thumbs up, because our giveaway today for one lucky viewer who is watching, commenting, engaging with the post today happens to be our Christmas Coasters Machine Embroidery Collection. So one lucky viewer is going to win the entire collection, and it comes with 2 sizes, as I mentioned before. And yes, there is a kit for the Christmas gift tags webcast. You will get a half yard of this beautiful metallic flecked cork fabric, and it's really high quality stuff, and it's such a dream to embroider. You can see that even a little bit denser design with a lot of stitch fill, there's no buckling or puckering or anything on this cork fabric. So I'm going to show you how to achieve that for all of your cork fabric projects, not just the gift tags. So you will also get a half yard. Okay, I already mentioned the half yard of metallic flecked cork fabric, and it's got a gold fleck to it. You'll also get some gold elastic string so you can hang your ornaments. See, it's a little bit stretchy. You'll also get all these beautiful sulky threads that go with all of the designs. I think the ugly sweater, which is not even ugly, is one of my favorites. Love it. All right, there's also some poly sparkle thread involved in this thread palette as well. So you'll get the gold poly sparkle thread that kind of mimics the little bit of sparkle in the cork fabric. So you can see on the little birdie right here, her wing is done in that poly sparkle thread along with some of the other accents as well. You'll also get a pack of Stiffy Stabilizer. That's how we're going to build our gift tags so that they have a really nice structure to them. And you'll also get a pack of Organ Needles Microtex size 8012. That is what we recommend for embroidering this buttery, fantastic cork fabric. All right. Cindy says, I received my kit yesterday and the threads are beautiful. Kathy hasn't embroidered on cork yet, so definitely join us for this free webcast so that you can learn best practices for embroidering cork, because then a whole new world opens up for you. You can create some beautiful cork wallets, cork fabric bags and totes, and add some personal embroidery to them. And again, these will make great gifts and you will absolutely love it. There is a pocket on the back of the large gift tags. Well, the small ones come with a pocket as well, but the large gift tags are sized so that you can slip a gift card in there for the recipient. See how it fits in there so nicely? Or you could put a little bit of cash or a nice handwritten note, or you can omit the pocket altogether if you want just your gift tag hanging. But this little pocket piece is a great place to personalize your gift tag further. You could put someone's monogram, a little name to personalize it. You could put a note from yourself or kind of sign your work in stitches so that the recipient of this has an heirloom, has an ornament, has something that was made by you that you have put your stamp on. So that's another great way to further personalize the little gift tags. I mean, are these designs just the cutest things you've ever seen? Love them. They're so detailed and just so, so cute. All right, so, and Cecilia, I agree. The needles are key to the cork fabric embroidery for sure. You want to make sure that when you're embroidering cork fabric that your needle isn't too big and that it's nice and sharp, because a regular embroidery needle actually has a ball point to it. It's ever so slight, but it's there. And it's going to create too large of a hole for your thread to pass through. And as we know, cork fabric is not a woven fabric. So it doesn't have this woven structure that will accommodate extra thread. So any thread you're adding to the cork is going to add overall density to the fabric. All right, so that's how you get buckling and puckering around cork. It's because there isn't enough room for that thread to sit in there, because there aren't these woven fibers that will kind of move and groove when you add thread to it. Does this make sense? When you use a Microtex needle, it's nice and slim and pointy. So it allows more thread to kind of rise up onto the surface of the cork rather than trying to make room inside of it. Is that making sense? So you could see these almost have like a dimensional look to them. You see how the ribbon on these presents kind of like pops right off of the surface. So that's what I'm talking about there. but at the same time, we don't have loops of thread. So it's a nice balanced stitch out when you have the right recipe of stabilizer, needles, fabric, and thread. So again, that's your little sneak peek to the webcast, but you're going to learn a lot more absolutely for free, 2 p.m. Eastern Time next Tuesday, November 7th, over at sewingonline.sulky.com. We still have kits available, but I am told that they are going really fast. And as you know, with our webcast kits, they do go fast because they are priced at such a great deal. Cork fabric is not cheap, I will say, but it's worth it to get these really designer looking gift tags that are really going to make a statement for your holiday gifting. All right, Kathy is saying they're so pretty. Love it. Christy wants to know, where do I find the wooden cross-stitch blanks? Great question. We actually have them at sulky.com. And we have a thread palette of the gift tag designs, the cross-stitch version. You can grab up the palette, which comes with the petites thread that coordinate with those designs. So it's a thicker thread. It is similar to floss. However, 1 strand of cotton petites thread equals 2 strands of embroidery floss. I just dropped my gift tag. Bear with me a moment. So you get great coverage with just 1 strand of the thread versus multiple strands of the floss. Plus, it comes on a spool, so you are able to store your thread end in the snap spool end, which is on either side. Just gently open it up, wind the thread end inside, and snap it shut. That's why it's called a snap spool. So you don't have to finagle around with 2 strands of floss when you're using your gift tag blank. You can use 1 strand of the cotton petites, grab up the petites palette for the gift tags, and grab up a few of the gift tag blanks, and you'll be ready to go. All right, that is separate from the In the Hoop gift tag kit, just so you are aware. All right. Joy says they are so cute. Clovis is all signed up. Lenny just ordered. Perfect. Cecilia says we're getting a science lesson. I wouldn't go that far. I'm no scientist, but I appreciate the comment. Love the gift tags, Kathy says. Perfect. All right. Nice features. Gift tags are really neat. Love the gift tag note pocket on the back. Okay, perfect. I think we are all set to dive into today's tutorial. And I will say it's a rather short tutorial because that's what I love about In the Hoop projects. Everybody out there knows what I mean when I say in the hoop, right? This means we are creating a whole project in our embroidery hoop on our embroidery machine. The designs, I keep dropping things, I'm sorry. The designs are specially digitized to have color stops so that we can remove the hoop from the machine, add things like fabric. Sometimes we can add zippers. We can add little ribbon hangers, things like that, to finish off our designs. I have seen full pillows done in the hoop where you create an envelope closure on the back. That is tacked down in stitches. Then you turn the whole thing right side out and you've made it all in your embroidery machine. It allows you to have very accurate, perfect stitching. You don't have to worry about veering off course when you're sewing a straight line because your embroidery machine is programmed for the entire project. Some In the Hoop projects, you have to do a little bit of hand sewing at the end to close up, openings and things like that. And our coaster project today is similar in that regard. There's about maybe a 2.5-inch opening that we've got to whip stitch closed once our project is taken out of the hoop. I know, there's definitely a lot of you who hate hand sewing at any cost. But for this, I really recommend it so that you can follow the curve of the coaster when you're finishing it up. A lot of the times, if you just fold a curved edge in with your seam allowances into the wrong side, you can get a straight edge going across. But when we are following our hand stitches and following our previous stitch line that is built into our coaster project, then you can get a nice curved edge and follow your coaster all the way around. You certainly could clamp your opening shut and top stitch your entire coaster and not do any hand sewing at all. But I find for the accuracy along our curved edge, it's really better to just grab a hand needle, quickly whip stitch that shut, and it takes no time at all. So let's dive in to our adorable winter coaster project. Now I'm going to bring up the designs again because I want you to see that aside from home for the holidays, these coasters are really great for just winter decor. So you don't have to just make them for Christmas or the holidays that you celebrate. You can create a set for winter and they can take you all the way to February, sometimes into the end of March, or May if you live in Colorado like I do, where there's just snow and winter for, 6, 7, 8 months sometimes. But at any rate, you could create, let it snow coasters and do a set of 6 of that particular design if you want to make them sort of nondescript regarding any sort of holiday. Or you can create a set of all 6 versions or whatever you desire. All right, so these come in 2 sizes, as I mentioned. And let's see. I wanted to tell you what size, but I don't have it written down right here. If you want to know the sizes, you can head directly to the link for the machine embroidery collection or for our In the Hoop Christmas Coasters palette. Both sizes are listed there. But really, one size is a little bit larger, so it's more like a mug rug size. And then one is a little bit smaller, which would fit your mug of hot cocoa really nicely and perfectly. All right, so let's dive into the tutorial. First things first, you're going to hoop only your stabilizer, no fabric at all. And I am showing a magnetic hoop here because I am in love with magnetic hoops ever since I started using them. I hardly ever use my standard hoops anymore. If you're interested in a magnetic hoop or you want to put this on your wish list for the holidays, if you have friends and family who never know what to get you for the holidays, tell them you want a magnetic hoop for your machine. Get the largest one that's compatible with your machine because it will give you the most flexibility as far as different designs that you can create and things you can do with it. Quilting in the hoop, things of this nature. You can definitely use your standard hoop for this project though. It's just you're viewing my magnetic hoop here. So the stabilizer that I'm using for the coasters is Sulky Soft and Sheer. I love Soft and Sheer for various in the hoop projects where you want the finished result to remain nice and soft, right? It's soft and it's sheer. Get it? Okay. So that's why we're not using a more crisp, let's say tear easy in this regard. But Soft and Sheer is really nice when we're working with these quilting cotton fabrics, which is what I am going to show in the tutorial. Now, these can also be made in different fabrics. All right, so I'm going to give you those options when we're done with the sort of basic tutorial. All right, so we're hooping our Soft and Sheer stabilizer only. Put your hoop onto the machine and you're going to go through color stop 1. Color stop 1 is the placement stitch for our background fabric that's going to get the embroidery. This shows us where to place that background fabric so that our stitches don't go beyond the fabric edges. All right, so after we have done our placement stitches, we're going to take our background fabric, and our background fabric is going to get a piece of batting attached to it. We're going to use Sulky KK2000 to secure our background fabric to the batting piece, and then we're going to use the KK2000 to secure our fabric and batting to our soft and sheer stabilizer, making sure that all of those placement stitches are covered. So now we have our background fabric with the batting attached on our hoop. I want to mention something here because sometimes I don't pick the right fabric for the project. And this is one of those times. I just thought this fabric was going to be perfect for these designs. I love that it's snow-covered trees, and regardless of the orientation, whether it's up or down, it's kind of like a mirrored reflection. And I loved this fabric print. I thought it was going to be perfect. I thought the lettering was going to go perfectly where the lighter colored fabric was, and that my house was going to look like it was popping in front of these evergreen trees covered in snow. So I began the embroidery, and you will see my mistake when we get to it. And now you will see why I have a really nice coaster that's done in sort of an off-white or cream colored plain background. This is a busy design, so we don't want to compete with the fabric print, right? So anyways, we're going to be viewing what I'm going to now call the wrong fabric for this project, but you'll see why in a moment. So once we have our fabric on the stabilizer with the batting attached, we are also going to use some Sulky clear embroidery tape. The clear embroidery tape, it's so great, you guys. If you have taped some things to stabilizer for in the hoop projects in the past, such as zippers or layers of fabric or things like this, maybe you used painter's tape, maybe you even used Scotch tape, which does not work. It is not sticky enough. Maybe you use masking tape or fabric tape. This clear embroidery tape is so much tackier than those options. I mean, you can even hear how tacky it is. It's reusable up to 3 times, I'd say. And it tears away super cleanly if you happen to accidentally stitch over it. If you accidentally stitch over one of these fabric tapes or masking tapes, it can become a real challenge to get that away from your stitches. So especially if you're doing multi-step embroidery where the tape gets hidden between layers, let's say you're adding a hanging loop to the top of an ornament or something, and you've got to tape it down. If you accidentally stitch over the tape, when you turn your item right side out, there you see it, and it's really hard to pick out those other kinds of tape. Whereas if you use this clear embroidery tape, it tears away cleanly along those edges. You can make smaller, thinner, skinnier pieces of the tape really easily because it tears so cleanly in any direction. I just have like 6 pieces of tape sitting here because I haven't gotten the life out of them yet. And I like to use them 2 or 3 times before they go bye-bye. At any rate, we're going to tape down our fabric and batting along those outer edges to make sure it's not going to go anywhere when we do color stop 2, which are our tacking stitches. And the tacking stitches, whoops, apparently I don't have a picture of the tacking stitches. The tacking stitches are going to, that's because, I apologize. The tacking stitches are the very last step in this design. So before that even happens, our embroidery motifs are going to stitch out. So when you go to color stop 2, you're actually sewing out the portions of the house. We are not doing a tacking stitch around the coaster perimeter to hold everything in place. Now, because we've added that batting and it's a little bit bulkier, we want to start with our motifs so that if there's any movement of the fabric or batting, meaning it wants to stretch ever so slightly while we're doing the embroidery, then all of that is managed at the very last step with our final perimeter stitching. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Sorry to be a little bit confusing there. I got in the groove with placement stitches and tacking stitches. All right, so after we tape everything in place, that's also why it's important to tape your edges in place into the stabilizer, because we don't have those tacking stitches securing everything. So we're going to start the embroidery motifs and make sure that you are clipping any jump threads with each color change, keeping things nice and tidy. You know, I like to use my curved tip squeezers whenever I am clipping jump threads because they have that nice curved tip, and the end of my scissors, the pointy end, is not going to nick the fabric or the previous stitches while I clip up all those jump threads. There aren't too many, but when you get into the details of the house, you will need to clip some jump threads. These also have nice little spring action, so they're really easy to use while your item is still in the hoop, and you can clip those up and continue with your embroidery. All right. So now you can see how my lettering did not get placed in the proper area on this fabric. Now, had I fussy cut my fabric a little bit more accurately, or maybe even rotated the fabric, my lettering would have been in the whitish, light bluish area of the fabric, and you would have been able to read the coaster. But you can see this is supposed to say home for the holidays, but you can barely make out the word home. So I was a little bit bummed that this one became a lesson, right? So I didn't want to show you the absolute perfect one because I like to show you my mistakes and how I recover from those mistakes. I even made a second coaster in this fabric because I was determined to make it work, because I love that it became the background for our snowy house. But that one didn't work too well either. So at any rate, you can learn from my mistake and you won't make the same mistake. Choose a minimal print, if any. Choose a lighter colored blender fabric for your background and you'll be good to go. So after the lettering stitches, then we're going to do our final tacking stitch. But before we get to that, we have to add our back fabric, our backing fabric for the back side of the coaster. See, I did get some use out of this fabric. After all, I decided to use it for the backing of my coaster. Okay. So we're going to take our backing fabric and place it right side down over our embroidered fabric, matching our corners and edges. And I'm using more of the clear embroidery tape here. What you can do is peel up the previous tape and now tape everything together with your backing piece over the top. We're going to put our hoop back onto the machine, and here are the final tacking stitches. You can see there's also our opening along the lower edge of the coaster, so we can turn this cute thing right side out. All right, so after this is stitched, we are going to remove our hoop from the machine, remove all of our tape, and remove the stabilizer from the hoop. Now we are going to gently tear away our soft and sheer stabilizer along that outer edge. However, soft and sheer is a cutaway stabilizer, so you're going to need to get in there with your scissors and just get as close to that edge as you can, without tearing away along the stitching line, because it's actually not going to tear away. So you're going to take your scissors, get near your stitching line, follow it around, and remove that stabilizer. Now we need to trim up the coaster. And I decided to use pinking shears for this because we've got this round edge, right? And we want it to stay that way. So you can either use pinking shears or a wavy rotary blade or something like this, or you can go into your seam allowance after you have trimmed your coaster and clip into the seam allowance so that those curved edges, once you turn it right side out, will follow the edge of your curve nicely. But if you use pinking shears, you're kind of notching out your seam allowance at the same time that you are trimming it. So 2 in 1 if you have pinking shears. Notice how along my opening, I left my seam allowance larger than the rest of the coaster. I got pretty close, about 1/4 inch from the stitching along most of the coaster edge, and then along my opening, I left it at about 1/2 inch. Now we're going to turn our coaster right side out. And if you haven't seen this nifty turning tool yet, we have them at sulky.com. See, Sulky. This is a really cool turning tool, especially for projects like this where you need to go along your curved edge and kind of poke out your seam allowance so that it's nice and flat and straight. You can put in this little contoured edge. See how it has kind of a rounded fat edge on one side and then a little bit of a pointy edge on the other. You can stick this inside your coaster and run it along your curved seam, and you're kind of pressing it from the inside. Now, additionally, you can take it over to your iron once you get your seam allowance nice and pushed out and give it a little bit of a press along that outer edge. And at the same time, you can fold in your seam allowance following that curve, because this smaller point on the opposite side is going to help you when you turn your seam allowance to the wrong side. You can put this inside the coaster and kind of gently go along the curve and add a bunch of wonder clips once you get to that point so that you have a nice round coaster. And I may have gone overboard with 5 wonder clips along, 2.5 inches, but I wanted to make sure that my coaster was going to be nice and round. Kathy says, where do we find that tool? It is at sulky.com. It's only about $10. See, it's a Sulky tool, has these nice grips on either end. It's also really great for turning really small fabric tubes or really fabric tubes of any size, because you can get this little contoured edge in between the tube when you are turning it right side out. I also use the small end as a stiletto when I'm sewing something that's bulky or sewing something where my seam allowance is rather narrow, something like this, or small things like little tabs for bags and stuff where I don't want to get my fingers too close to the needle. I'll use this as a little stiletto, or use this when I'm pressing something that's really delicate or has a small corner point to it, something like that, and I don't want to get my fingertips or my fingernails close to the tip of my iron. I will also use this as that stiletto or that extra sort of fingertip that I need. All right, so we are turning our coaster right side out, poking out the seams, making sure we have a nice rounded coaster with our wonder clips, and then we are simply going to hand sew just for a little bit to get our coaster all nice and enclosed. Now, if you do want to add that top stitching, I recommend top stitching your coaster after you have sewn the opening shut so that you have that nice curved edge. And if you want to add a tiny bit of top stitching detail to your finished coaster, you can do so once it's completed. And then it'll be nice and flat and ready to use or gift away to a special someone or a favorite friend with a cute little wintry holiday mug and maybe some homemade cookies. Something like that would make a great gift, whether you make them 1 or a set of 6, or you choose, choose your own adventure with your coasters. All right, so here you could see the difference between my wrong fabric coasters and my suitable fabric coaster. So that's another print fabric. It's a light blue with some little white starry things, and it even has some little deer motifs on it, but it's a minimal print, okay? So my evergreen snowy forest print was obviously the wrong choice for this. And you can see friends and family here. You can read that so nice and crisp. I highly recommend using a black bobbin thread when you're doing the black stitching for the letters so that they're nice and crisp and pronounced. And then you can use a white or beige or even a poly light 60 weight bobbin thread for the rest of the motifs. So you'll want to switch out your bobbin for that nice crisp lettering. All right. So now I want to give you some sort of variations or tips for using the coaster designs in some different ways. So let's say you want to create the coaster, but you don't want to turn it right side out and you don't want to do the hand sewing at all. Well, you can choose a no fray fabric, such as a sulky felty, something like this. You could use a cork fabric. However, keep in mind, if you're using this as a coaster and you're using it for, do you like my Halloween themed water today? You're using it for something that has ice in it, something that's going to sweat. It could harm your cork fabric. It's not recommended to submerge cork fabric in a bunch of water. It can get some, not really water spots, but if your drink is really sweating, or you spill water on it, then you want to spot clean it right away to absorb that extra moisture because it could kind of tint the cork fabric, okay? So it is, doable, but you'll want to use it for hot beverages or, be rather careful with it. Okay. But you could use sulky felty, which is a polyester felt fabric that has a really nice hand to it. It looks like wool felt. It looks luxurious and expensive, but it's not. And it's great to use for embroidery because it is specifically made to take a lot of needle penetrations, absorb a lot of thread in the fibers, so you can do these really dense embroidery designs on the felty with no problems at all. So what you will do, instead of adding a backing and then doing your tacking stitches that have the opening, you're going to add your backing piece and then you're going to go back to the very first placement stitch, color stop 1, to finish the coaster. So what you will do is you will go all the way to the end of the embroidery design stitching. Let me find that image. Nope, it's not it. Nope, not it. Bear with me a minute. These thumbnail images are so small for my aging eyes. So bear with me a sec while I find the correct image. Okay, here we go. You're going to go, imagine this is on a piece of light blue or cream felty, would look really great. You're going to remove the hoop from the machine and turn it over. You're going to place your backing felty piece on the back side of the hoop. And you're going to use embroidery tape on all edges so that it doesn't roll back on you when you put your hoop back onto the machine. Then you are going to go to color stop 1 and do that circular placement stitch again. Here's color stop 1. And then you're going to remove everything from the hoop and trim about 1/4 inch from your placement stitch outline. and trim away any stabilizer between the layers before you trim your coaster fabric or the felty. And then you will have a little bit of felty raw edge extending beyond those placement stitches, but you won't have to turn anything right side out. Your coaster will be complete. You can even trim it with pinking shears so it has a decorative edge to it, and your coaster is done. It has the felty backing and the felt on the top. I would still add the low loft batting layer to the front fabric, even if you're using felty, just to give it a little bit of loft. However, if you are not going to like seeing the batting within your seam allowance line, then you can omit that altogether, or you can creatively trim the batting between the layers after your first placement stitch line. You can kind of trim the batting away in between your layers of felty. Is that making sense? Okay. The other thing you can do is you can turn this into an ornament simply by adding a little hanging loop before you add your backing fabric to your project in the hoop. So what you will do is, let me find the correct image again. Here we go. It's hard to see. So after this step, you will take your little hanging loop. You could use a piece of this little elastic. You could use a little ribbon loop. You could use even a little, tie of some kind. You get the idea. And you'll fold it in half, right? Here's your little loop. And place it along the center above where your original placement line stitches are, and tape it really good so it doesn't go anywhere. Then add your backing fabric. Complete everything according to the coaster instructions. But when you turn it right side out, you will have a little hanging loop extending from the upper edge of your ornament. It probably won't be a pink hair tie, but you get the idea. And then you will sew it shut. So if you do want to use something like cork, or if you have scraps of faux leather, you can choose the smaller coaster design and create a really cute circular ornament for your Christmas tree or what have you. So you can get a lot of bang for your buck with this design collection. You could also just sew out the embroidery motif with the little wording on it and omit all of those circular placement stitches just by advancing your embroidery machine forward or backward throughout the stitch out. And then you could create these as flat designs, create some square quilt blocks or something like this to then use them in other ways and for other projects. So all you need to do is grab up our Christmas Coasters Machine Embroidery Collection. It is available as a collection, all 6 designs in 2 sizes, or you can grab it up as a machine embroidery palette, which means you will get the collection in 2 sizes and all of the sulky thread that you need to coordinate with the designs. So it's available in 2 ways at sulky.com. Debbie says you could also add these to a string and make a banner. What a cute idea. You could have a little holiday bunting on your mantle or something like this. And Patricia says these would be great designs for kitchen towels as well. Exactly. So all you would need to do is hoop up your towel blank, right? Center where you would like the design or mark the design center. Hoop it up and then advance. So omit your placement lines, or placement stitches rather, and also omit your tacking stitches at the end, and you'd have a really cute flat design for a towel. You could also do it as an in the hoop applique, where you actually add your circular applique piece. But keep in mind, you are not going to have the finishing stitch, the satin stitch, which it's usually a satin stitch or a blanket stitch. You're not going to have that. So you would want to choose a no fray fabric if you go the applique route. All right. Or I suppose you could add blanket stitches afterwards by hand and add a little bit more texture, a heavier weight looking thread. I mean, really, the possibilities are endless now that we are together talking about all the possibilities. All right. Sandra says, I could see them as a table runner. Great ideas. Great for decorating gifts. Yes. I mean, I love the idea of making all 6 and stacking them, tying them with a little bow, maybe add a little, fancy hot cocoa packets with it, or those cute little hot cocoa spoons that they have. You could tuck that in to your little ribbon and gift this to somebody. It would be such a cute little gift for the holidays. And your machine does most of the work. All right. Cecilia says, place the name and year on the ornament. So great idea. You could embroider the backing fabric separately in a separate hooping. Maybe it has, a child's name or your name and the year. And then when you place your backing fabric in the hoop, that's already got that embroidery on it. You can turn it all right side out, hang it up on your tree. Great addition to the ornament. Great way of personalizing it and adding your own creative spin on the existing project. All right. Brenda says, could you use cork instead of fabric for the front and back with the felt in the middle? You certainly could. Just be aware of the whole, ice in your drink or, a specific, what do I want to say? You get the idea. Beware of water droplets on the cork, or, you may be able to treat the cork prior to your embroidery with a little bit of waterproofing spray, but I would definitely test that on a little scrap first and see how the cork responds to that. But I have heard people use that in the past, so that would be a great fix for that potential problem. All this talk about beverages has me wanting a hot cocoa. All right. Okay. Lots of people have other ideas for using this as well. Using a rotary cutter with a pinking blade for cutting items. That is great too. Could see this with the popular frazzled edge like denim or raw linen. That would look so cute. Kind of give it like a shabby chic sort of a vibe as well. I love the idea too of adding trims inside the edge, like a rickrack. You could place that along the placement line inside of your cute little coaster, and you could even coil it up top and turn your rickrack trim into your hanging loop as well. So lots of different ways of creating with this particular collection. You could also satin stitch the edges yourself if you don't use a non-woven fabric. Great idea, Esther. So if you don't want to turn yours right side out, you would do the same method, putting your backing fabric on the back of the hoop, then trim it up, and then add your satin stitch edging on your sewing machine to finish off your coasters. So another great idea and great way to just kind of make it the way that is more comfortable for you. Okay. Debbie says the sulky felty is great for embroidery projects. Loving it. Okay. And yes, Lori also says, I have not seen cork yet. So if you have not experimented with cork fabric, I guarantee you're going to love it. Grab up our Christmas gift tags in the hoop kit for our Christmas gift tags webcast happening next week at 2 p.m. Eastern Time at sewingonline.sulky.com. This is a great way kind of as an entryway into your world of working with cork fabric. You will get a half yard of this beautiful cork fabric that has the metallic gold flecks in it. Great for holiday timing when we want to break out all of those metallic threads and add a little sparkle to things. And this will be a great way to learn about working with cork fabric, making some smaller projects. And then after you create some gift tags in the hoop, you'll have some more confidence to go make something like a cork wallet, a cork bag, something like that. You will really love the look of it. It's kind of like, you know, a vegan leather option, you know. It just looks so neat. And cork comes in a lot of different colors. It even comes with patterns and prints and different metallics and all kinds of things. All right, Sharon says, if I order the kit today, is it possible it would get to New England before next Tuesday? So on our website at sulky.com, where you will be ordering the kit, you can choose from some different shipping options, whatever you're most comfortable with, and you can kind of get a feel for when it might arrive. Now, I do want to say, if it doesn't come in time for the webcast, don't worry about it at all, because the webcast is not really meant to be a traditional sew-along where we're going to work together from start to finish, okay? It's more of an in-depth overview of the project with lots of tips, techniques, everything thrown in. And then you will be able to access the webcast at any time once the live event ends, as long as you're registered for it. So even if you get your kit the next day or 2 days later, you can refer back to the video for the webcast and pause, rewind, fast forward, get to the meat of things when you're at your embroidery machine with your kit materials. And then it'll be just like you are doing it, you know, with the instructor in person. So, well, not really in person, virtually. You get the idea. So don't worry at all if your kit doesn't arrive in time for the webcast, because again, you'll be able to review any of that information whenever your kit does arrive. Okay. Oh, and Doris is asking, thank you for saying this, Doris. She says, could you add a layer of clear vinyl onto the cork to waterproof the coasters? Now, you probably could. It's going to add a bit of bulkiness to it. It's also going to add a bit of stickiness to it. All right. But I wanted to mention, I'm so glad you brought this up. So what I was thinking of trying out next with the coaster designs is, first off, I want to add the hanging loop to make it an ornament. But I also thought I would add a layer of clear vinyl with some little sequins inside so that it looks like a little snow globe. So it's going to have the no fray fabric. I'll probably use felty. And then before adding the vinyl to the top, so I'll add my felty to the back of the hoop, I'll add a piece of vinyl to the top, but in between those layers, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of sequins. Then I'll add the vinyl and I'll do that placement stitch again, which will also secure my hanging loop. And then it'll have some little jingly, sparkly sequins in between the layers. When you shake it, it'll move around just like a snow globe. So that's what I was thinking. So thanks for mentioning that vinyl, because I forgot to tell you all about that plan as well. Eva says, I have some Poly Light 60 weight. Can I use that on the ornaments with cork next week? So you mean on the gift tags. So Poly Light, as you mentioned, is a 60 weight thread. These designs are digitized for a 40 weight thread. Now you can use that Poly Light 60 weight thread in the bobbin, because that's what's recommended for a balanced stitch on these guys, is a 60 weight bobbin thread and then the 40 weight on top. If you use the 60 weight on top, see how there's a lot of dense fill stitch areas. I would worry, especially in the places like where we have a patterned fill stitch, like in our little gifts here, I would worry that the Poly Light is not going to have enough of a coverage in these fill stitch areas, because it is so much lighter weight than the 40 weight thread that it's digitized for. So you might find that you have a little bit of open areas, places where the stitching is not as dense or as close together as it needs to be, because you're using a lighter weight thread than what the design was digitized for. So there won't be enough passes of thread to fill in those areas with a lighter weight poly light thread. But you can definitely use it in the bobbin. Let's see. What about serger thread? So that depends, because a lot of the time, serger thread is, it depends on what fiber is the serger thread made of, what is the weight of the serger thread. So not all serger thread is created equal. A lot of the times people just slap up that sort of descriptive term as a serger thread, and we don't really know what type of thread that is or what weight it is to know if it's going to work with the designs. Also, a lot of the time, serger thread doesn't have this beautiful sheen to it. So you're not going to get the sheen. See how it goes with that metallic cork fabric so well, because we're using the poly sparkle for the gold, which is a 30 weight thread, and then the 40 weight rayon is all of the colorful details in the design. It's just so pretty. Sometimes serger thread can be rather dull looking because it's meant for construction, really. When it's called serger thread, they're not using that for decorative serger applications. They're using it inside of seam allowances mostly. So, it doesn't need to have this beautiful sheen to it like embroidery thread does. Doris says, are you going to have any filaine machine embroidery projects in the future? Absolutely, of course. We can't forget about filaine. Filaine was actually used to create the little spider in our Witches In, Witches Out reversible wall hanging. And as you can see, the filaine turns our spider into this 3D fuzzy little guy because we brush him with our filaine wire brush, giving him texture and dimension and giving him this like faux fur look. You see how fuzzy our spider gets? Really, really cool. We have some embroidery collections at sulky.com already that feature filaine thread. One is called Peekaboo Pets, and there's actually a couple of designs within Peekaboo Pets that are great for the holidays. There's like a golden retriever type dog, which, you could change up the thread colors in the main rayon portions of the dog, or change up the filaine colors for the dog's fur. And then once the dog is sewn out, you brush him to give him this faux fur effect. But the golden retriever as a red bow tie would be great for holiday items. And then there's also Chili Cat, which is part of the Peekaboo Pets collection. Chili Cat is wearing a Santa hat. So those are some really great designs for the holidays coming up as well. All right. Let's make sure we have some. Okay, so Eva has clarified the serger thread is a polyester 50 weight thread that she has. So again, the 50 weight thread is going to be a little bit lighter weight than the 40 weight rayon that we're using in the design. So you could certainly try it. I would try it probably not on our pricey cork fabric. Maybe try it on, a piece of sulky felty, or even a piece of quilting cotton just to get a feel for a portion of the design. You don't have to test stitch the entire thing, but maybe choose the color stop that's going to stitch these two presents or something and test out that weight of thread and see if you like the look of it and see if you like, the coverage that you get with that weight of thread. All right. What weight of bobbin do we use with filaine? So with filaine, we want to use a 60 weight bobbin thread. We never want to use filaine in the bobbin because it just adds too much density to the design, making the needle really struggle to get through all those layers of fabric and stabilizer and all of that. So we want to use 60 weight bobbin thread. That's what the Filane designs are digitized for, so that you get that balanced stitch, so that just a slight bit of the top thread pulls to the wrong side of the fabric. That's how you know you're getting a balanced stitch. All right. And needle size for Filane. Needle size for Filane, we want to use a pretty large needle. We're going to go with a 116 needle for the Filane thread. It's a 12 weight thread. So when you're working with a design that has a combination of 40 weight rayon and 12 weight Filane, you need to make sure you swap your needle as well as change your thread when you get to the portion that's done in Filane. If you try to thread your Filane through the needle that you used for this 40 weight thread, you're probably going to get some thread breakage and maybe even some, bobbin bird nest craziness, because your needle the needle eye is not large enough to accommodate the thread thickness and the thread texture. So keep that in mind as well. Is there a kit for the spider available still? Yes. So if you're still interested in the witches in, witches out door hanger, this is an in the hoop project as well. It's created similarly to how we put together our coasters today, except we are going to add our hanger, right? There's actually placement lines for positioning your hanger in the hoop. And this is done in 2 hoopings. First, we do one side and we remove it from the hoop. Then we do the opposite side and we take our reserved piece and add it right sides together in the hoop of our embroidery machine, sandwiching our hanger in the process. If you're interested in this, it's available as a machine embroidery palette at sulky.com. It's called the Witches In Out hanger, and you can grab up all the thread that you need with that palette as well as the design files. They come with it. So you'll get all the rayon thread as well as the Filane thread that you need for the little spider portion of your design. It also comes with an instructional PDF, so you will know at what point to swap out your needles. I'll remind you about all of the things you need to do on your machine to accommodate your Filane thread, such as slowing it down, turning off your auto jump thread cutter, all these good things. So yes, you can still grab that up as well. And actually, if you want to sew it out today and you want to display it tonight for Halloween and you have some threads on hand, you can purchase up just the embroidery design collection, which will give you both stitch outs, and you'll be able to do it at your machine this afternoon and hang it up tonight for your trick-or-treaters. All right. I think that I got caught up on all the questions, but if I have not and you still have a question, you can always email us at info@sulky.com and we are here for you. And if you would like links for anything I talked about today, especially for registering for next week's webcast and grabbing up that kit, you will find those links in the description of today's post. Simply click on the little See More button or More button, and the whole description will pop out with links for everything I talked about today, including links for our brand new craft tours trips that are up for 2024. So if you're interested in adding some travel to your Christmas wish list or planning ahead for trips in 2024, we've got 3 fantastic trips on the docket at Craft Tours, and I linked to those so you can check them out. We will be going to Kenya in April. We will be doing Ireland in July, and we will be doing Bali in October with a special trip to a batik festival. We will actually be learning how to batik our own fabrics in Bali, among other things. So it's going to be a great, great time. And speaking of that, we are headed to our London tour in a couple short weeks here. I leave the day after Thanksgiving, and we're going to head to London with about 30 of our sewing friends. And I can't wait to meet you all, everybody that has joined the tour. It's going to be such a great time. So if you're interested in that or joining us on a future craft tour, head on over to that link and check out those fantastic tours. Put them on your wish list for the holiday season and start planning now. You can get on a payment plan with craft tours. So if you start out early, it makes it a lot more manageable to, pay off the trip by the time that we take off and have the time of our lives. All right. Yes, Rhonda, Bali. I know. I'm so excited. We're going to be going to an elephant sanctuary. I cannot even. Oh, goodness. Okay. I digress. All right. So everybody have a wonderful Halloween today. I hope you get in the spirit and get in a spooky costume or just a cute costume like my butterfly wings. Super simple to just put those on. Find yourself some lashes, maybe paint your nails, and, answer the door in a festive costume for the trick-or-treaters tonight. And I will see you all next week for the Christmas gift tags in the Hoop webcast at sewingonline.sulky.com at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'll join you a little bit earlier for an edition of So What as well, because I can't leave you hanging over here on YouTube and Facebook. All right, so be safe out there, everybody, and have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you next week for another So What?